Hey, Cynthia.
Hi. Hi, Jodi.
Good to see you. Welcome to Elevated Intel. It's the 4:20 on Friday, and that means it is Elevated Intel. Thanks for being here this week, Cynthia. We missed you last week.
Yes, last week sucked because we had such an amazing time in Tallahassee. We got so much accomplished, and then driving that long, sad drive back on Friday, and I drove straight through, but got home to a house without power because FPL. What the FPL, you know?
Right. And all weekend with no power.
Um, it was Saturday, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Wow. Well, I'm glad we had you part of last week.
Yep.
I'm Jodi James, and my co-host today is Cynthia Brewer. I am coming to you from live from Pensacola, where I am preparing for the Wonderland Ball later on tonight. And Cynthia, you have some beautiful flowers behind you.
Yes. So it's gonna be kind of difficult for me to get through, but I'm dead set on doing this because I want to make sure that I say thank you to everybody who it's weird because last week we all saw each other in Tallahassee. We were all jacked up on, legislative session and, democracy and all of the changes that we were making. It was a great week. And, even though it came home to power issues, I came home on a high. It was a great experience at Cannabis at the Capitol. And I felt like we really made some moves that were strategically important and significant. Unfortunately, during I'm gonna try really hard to get through this.
I gotcha.
It was a routine vet visit for my dog on Tuesday that ended up ending in like some really catastrophic news, and I had to put him down, and I was not expecting it, as you can tell.
Oh,
I would
we,
never have gone to Tallahassee and been so enthusiastic if I knew I was going to come home to have to do that. So,
wow.
um, yeah, we didn't, I mean, I had no idea, but he had a tumor growing on his spleen. It was huge. I saw the scan of it and I was just amazed at how big it was, how much surface area it took up on him. And he was a big dog, but he was going for blood work for a surgery that was scheduled for a removal on his leg. And when they saw him that day in the car, they were like, we need to look at him. And it's so weird how you can be doing just everyday activities. I was on the phone with Dr. Barry Gordon, the
Okay.
ride to the vet. So, I've got Sawyer sitting
Totally not
shotgun
prepared.
and I'm
Right.
talking to Dr. Barry about, just life. And then I told him I got to go, because I'm at the vet. And I never knew, like, just a couple hours later, I'd be lying on the floor of a vet room with my baby, and saying goodbye. So I am so grateful for everybody. Say I'm trying to make it through, but for everybody that sent like just well wishes and the flowers, especially because I'm gonna tell you this now. I've had family members die and they never got this many flowers. So my doorbell was ringing and I was about to like choke somebody every time it was, but it was like flowers, and FL Can and work and family and Matt Moses and Kaiju Labs. And, one was even addressed to Hector specifically. So they said
Forgot
flowers for
flowers.
Hector Roos. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Just give it.
Sure.
So it's been a couple of days, you know, it's, it's, it's hard.
Yeah, 100
No
flipping
one
percent.
tells you about stuff like this
Well,
and
no,
prepares you.
and we had a conversation on Monday and it wasn't on the agenda,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
no,
it just wasn't even on the agenda. So when the message came through that you had felt that it was the compassionate thing to do was to go ahead and put the dog down so he didn't suffer anymore, we were all kind of blown away. So thank you for being here today. We missed you
yeah.
last week and then we missed you a lot of this week because
Yeah.
you needed to you needed to start the grieving process.
It was, I
So,
mean, I appreciate everyone being so patient with me because I'm going to tell you, I was so unprepared. You never, no one can ever tell you
yeah.
like the hardest part is getting back into that car, you know, that he rode there with you and you ride home by yourself, or like just seeing stuff around the house. Like I haven't even slept in my bed because the sheets are still messed up the way he had them when he was there last. It just has this weird juju. So I'm strategically trying to find ways to get back to whatever is normalcy after the most
Okay.
traumatic thing I've ever had happen in my life so quickly. So it's
Child, yeah.
different. This is step one, being able to do this without losing all composure. And I think I did okay. I'm
You
gonna give
did
myself
good.
an okay.
You did good. Well, and for those of you who are just tuning in, we're Florida Can is kind of a dog organization.
Yeah,
Maria has cats and we love Maria and she's
she
allowed to
is.
have her cats.
She's allowed. Yeah, that is allowed.
But we are by far a dog organization. We even kind of talked about raising some money to give calendars, dog calendars,
I mean, I'd pay for
print
it
the dogs at
myself,
Florida Can.
and we would just keep them, and I keep it on my month of, if my dogs were March, it'd always be March at my house. But yeah, no, we've talked about it multiple times about how dog friendly we are as an organization, but also how much we support one another when things don't go as expected. And so I appreciate, like, the whole FLCAN family was like politely present, but definitely giving me appropriate space because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk about it. Day one sucked. Day two sucked less. Day three is today, and it sucks a little bit less. So hopefully that trend will continue. And I thank everybody for the texts and for the not calling, and they know me. So I appreciate it, and I'll
100%.
get there. So we do have news
Well,
though.
we do.
Besides,
It's been a big week.
yeah,
Hopefully, folks tuned in last week with Colette Florido, our Florida Cans Vice President, and I. And you're back this week. I did do about 8 minutes on Wednesday to kind of bring everybody up to speed on the bills and said we'd do some deeper dives on that stuff today. So if
yeah,
you're just tuning in, some of the topics that we're going to talk about today, you were funny. You said smart and safe across multiple channels, right? Because there's so much going
yeah.
on.
There's a bunch of
Um,
that going on for sure.
so if I had the magic 8 ball, I would ask it if Floridians are going to get to vote on legalization this coming November, and I think the answer has to be the results are cloudy,
Yeah,
hazy at best.
yeah.
So we're
Like,
gonna dig into that, right? We're gonna
ask
dig
again
into
later, whatever that benign response is
there
that's
was that.
very frustrating and puts it off. Yeah, no, there's a lot going on with Smart and Safe.
Wanted to kind of give a little wrap update, and then we'll dig in if we
Yep,
can.
absolutely.
Just a little DEA corruption. Remember, the war on
Ooh,
drugs is real. We're going to talk about some published rules that were supposed to be happening in January, and some published rules that happened
yeah,
in December,
yep.
and then you have some federal stuff that you wanted to dig into a little
I
bit too.
mean,
A couple
nothing as
federal bills.
exciting as the stuff you just said, because now that you think
All
about it, like,
sexy.
I
It's
mean,
all
it's all
sexy.
sexy. Cannabis is definitely interesting. It keeps us on our toes. What do you want to start with? You want to start like broad national and get
Smart,
close
smart
to
and
home?
safe, baby. Smart
Okay,
and safe.
we'll
There
go with
is so
smart and
much
safe.
smart and safe. If
So,
you are not paying attention, there is just a lot.
well,
It's
you
in the
can
news
miss
every
it.
day, right?
You can miss it because when we spoke earlier today about, are you going to be good for the show? And I was like, yes, let's talk about topics. Like, we talked about ballot gatherers being arrested from Smart
100%.
and Safe. We talked about there being a criminal investigation into activity from the petition gatherers that were possibly fraudulent. We talked about the state sending out mailers to people who signed petitions, verifying and just ensuring that they meant to sign the petition. If you get one in the mail and you didn't mean to sign it, you're supposed to check a box and send it back. But if you did mean to sign it, you're supposed to do nothing, which that's what we talked. And then since then, there was a lawsuit that was filed in the past few hours.
And some I saw an announcement of some that have gotten settled. So in the last since we talked.
It's
So
crazy.
to bring everybody up to speed, smart and safe, of course, is the Florida initiative. that is seeking to put adult recreational use on the ballot. It's kind of a big lift. They've got information in there about making a horizontal marketplace, and they've got some time, place, and manner stuff in there. And they basically threw in the kitchen sink. And the way that Florida law has evolved on petitions, it is really, really hard to get a petition, what they call a citizen's petition, on the ballot. 25 years ago, when Florida Can was founded, you could start a petition. Your signatures were valid forever.
Yeah.
Person could die and you still had a valid signature. You could carry your petition forward forever. Anybody could collect signatures for a petition. Anybody could turn in signatures for a petition,
Hmm.
and you could get as many petitions as you wanted. Those laws have changed considerably.
Yeah.
And now, in order to legally collect a petition from more than just a couple of your friends, wait, scratch that. That would be illegal. A couple of your family members, because I think you're only allowed to have 9 filled out petitions on your person, right? I mean, there's a law about that.
I
You
have
have to
no idea
register
about that.
100%. Yeah, you can't go to your Rotary Club and collect 45 signatures and then turn them into the supervisor of elections. That's illegal.
So the
So when
petition
they
gatherers now that are on the side of the, by the stores and outside the dispensaries, they have to stop after they reach a quota.
No, they have to register with the state. They have to be background checked.
Yeah,
They have to, so if you want to be a professional, you have to be a resident of our state. You
right.
can't come from out of state to work on the petition. And you have to, there's some other criteria, but basically, you have to be registered if you're going to go out and collect petitions. So the other thing that is different is now your signatures are only good for one election cycle.
Right.
So if
You
you
have to
started your
re-sign. If you signed last
100%.
year, it doesn't carry over.
So if Smart and Safe doesn't have the 800 and some odd thousand signatures that it needs validated by February 1st, it
Yep.
can't go on the ballot.
Well, here's the
So
thing. There's
go ahead.
a issue that one of the issues, the lawsuit that I mentioned is actually Smart and Safe suing Cord Bird and the supervisor of elections for not
Court is the
updating.
supervisor of
Well,
elections.
yeah,
Court is, yeah,
Cord Bird, the supervisor of elections,
there you go.
for not updating the website since November with an active
678,000.
signature count. So right now it's been 6, and some change, and they have been asking that. Well, they have their challenge. Their argument is that you are not uploading and you're not updating, so it looks like we are not collecting all the signatures, and so we're losing that steam, which is, I mean, justifiable because I want to know what the number is. They claim it's already over 1 million.
Well, and we can certainly hope so if it's not over 1 million. And I've wondered too what happens if the supervisor of elections don't verify them. Because
Right.
last week we talked about the fact that the Attorney General has requested an audit from 3 of the largest counties.
Yes.
And you mentioned, and kind of in passing, because I know that you went really fast past this, and we kind of dig in a little bit here. Many people have received letters from the attorney generals, or probably from the Secretary of Election or the Division of Election Security, is my guess.
Hmm.
I haven't seen one yet, to ask them if they actually signed it. So they're out actively looking for people who believe that it's fraud, which I think is ironic because we are seeing fraud out of Massachusetts,
Oh
people
yeah.
misrepresenting the petition.
That's
So
really dirty though, because they
100%.
really framed that petition around. They were saying things like, do you want to make sure that fentanyl stays out of legal cannabis? And people are like, yeah, I actually do. I'll sign. And actually it's a prohibition attempt to repeal the cannabis. That's crazy. This is crazy, but that's crazier. They win.
Well, we have so many barriers to getting cannabis on the ballot. And actually, at this point, in the last 6 years from this governor, we've seen a real assault on the ability to put things on the ballot. And of course, based on the last Constitutional Revision Commission, where they put things that had nothing to do with each other, like prohibition on vaporizing, uh, e-cigarettes, in with things like offshore drilling. Well, if you wanted to be able to vape, but you didn't want offshore drilling, you had to choose. And so, it's funny because we're supposed to be a single subject state,
Yep.
and yet they had so many diverse subjects on the others. So fascinating, fascinating. We won't know until sometime after February 1st. The most recent article I saw said that there was a judge, they had disqualified, I don't know, 60,000 signatures.
Uh-huh.
And now we're looking at these batch by batch, and there was a batch of 42,000-ish. 42 is my 420 is my favorite number. What can I
I
say?
know.
Um, so 40,000 signatures that were allowed, and then there was another, I don't know what it was, 23,000 or something that was disallowed. So this could very well come down to uh, you know, a, a number, a very small number of
It's not
signatures
going to
making a lot of
end
difference.
on the first. The Smart and
Not
Safe
by
is
a long shot.
claiming that they have over 1 million submitted and over 700,000 verified. But the numbers that are on the website are not reflecting that. So they want those to be accurately reflected. But
And
also at the same time of not having accurate information presented to the public, stalling the entire Supreme Court review process, like this is getting very nasty between the Florida GOP cabinet and then this Citizen Rand ballot initiative, strike two, attempt number two. But now you're throwing in arrests. They are
100%.
arresting petition gatherers. So if I was a prospective petition gatherer for an attempt on a Citizen Rand ballot initiative, I think I would think twice if I thought I might be arrested for
100%.
something unless I was
100%.
actually doing something wrong. It kind of looks like they're using this as a fear tactic to make sure that people don't rush to support things that they don't support. And there is some allegations of fraud that have been looked into pretty deep about a few petition gatherers that were actually suspected of doing fraudulent activity, yet they still let them work and gather petition signatures. And so that's something they're going to look at. I feel like the February 1st deadline is going to be that ding ding round one, because they're going to just attack the whole process and there's going to be challenge and lawsuit. And get the popcorn, Jodi.
Yeah. Oh, and I do, I will, I'll bring it
You
next
totally
time
do.
because I do. I think there's a show, and I think it's fascinating. A lot of the money that is being spent on Smart and Safe comes from one MMTC, a multi-state operator, TrueLeave. We also know that TrueLeave has been, having Oval Office conversations in terms of federal rescheduling. And I just wonder if Ron's mad because Kim gets more Oval Office time than he does.
That's a great point. And like, if you have the ear of the president, and I don't think he would even respond to a DeSantis text, that could probably cause some angst. But what I do love about the Smart and Safe group now that I didn't appreciate before was that they are well funded. They have attorneys that are aggressive. They aren't going to just be pushed over. So this has turned into almost entertainment and policy change at the same time. This could be beneficial, but they are not going to go down without a fight.
Well, and I think that people who are spending their money with TrueLeave here in the state of Florida really are getting a lot for their money because if we can't break through with $50 million,
Yeah.
then what does something put on by the Nature Conservancy, what are they ever going to be able to do? We have universal pre-K because a small group got together and was able to move that. We have felon rights after 20 years because we were finally able to move that through a constitutional amendment. You don't raise that kind of money for those
No,
kind of issues
this
ever.
is long money. The other question I do have, Jodi, is do you ever remember the state actually sending out mailers to people that sign petitions to verify their signature is legit? Because I feel like
No.
that's an extra move.
So until 2 years ago, we didn't have the Division of Election Integrity.
Oh,
So DeSantis passed this through the Florida legislature a couple of years ago, gave him $1 bajillion to go find election fraud. Well, they don't want to go find election fraud in Republican races.
no,
So
no, no, no. That'd
that's
be
not where we're looking for election fraud.
we didn't mean that kind of look. Look
No,
somewhere else.
no, 100%. And so if you've got a couple $1 million, you better show some results. And if you know that the governor is opposing this for whatever reason, uh, and I don't know that it's always cut and dry about the issue. Several years ago, there was a gentleman from Nevada who spent a lot of money opposing Amendment 2, the medical marijuana. Adelson, something like
Mhm.
that. He was a Nevada billionaire. He spent $1 bajillion with the initiative to oppose Amendment 2. When you start looking at him, he was funding medical marijuana research in Israel. He
Yeah.
wasn't opposed to medical marijuana. He wanted casinos. And in order to get casinos, the governor wanted the initiative defeated.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with us. Had nothing
Well,
to do with medical marijuana. This is
is
this
there
is so far above our pay
right?
grade.
Yes. And we could speculate all we want. I just want to know if you can ever
And our side.
remember any
And
time in the
no,
past where they did checks and
never.
balances before it made it through Supreme Court review.
Never,
That's
never. But
crazy.
again, we have a brand new, we never had a division to do it. It is 100% crazy. Now,
And it's
do
not even the real
fraud.
vote. This is the vote to get it to like the ability to vote. If
Right.
they're going to challenge, I would think they would challenge in November when it's on the ballot and not
100%.
just try. I think they're afraid it's actually going
So,
to pass.
and I've told people I've collected thousands of signatures for initiatives going back 25 years in this state. And I would tell people it doesn't matter whether or not you're in favor of it.
Right.
You should be in favor of democracy, and
Yes.
democracy is giving us the opportunity to vote on. So I collected a lot of signatures from people who didn't necessarily want marijuana to be legal or universal pre-K or, whatever the initiative was that we were working on at the time. So very interesting times with Smart and Safe. Absolutely chill. I think that's the term of art. It has a chilling effect on free speech. And,
So not like laid back and chill, more like
no,
burr.
Burr. The First Amendment guarantees me the right to petition my government for the redress of grievances.
Right.
That's
But
like number one.
why are we the only state that has one option to do so, where other states have like four? California, for instance, has referendums that are citizen ran, ballot initiatives, challenges, everything. We don't have any of those.
And a lot of states don't even have a constitutional uh, amendment process. So we just happen to be one of a few that has a constitutional amendment. But on the bright news, bright and shiny, let's move on to bright and shiny.
Okay.
In the bright and shiny news, the Farmer's Almanac
Ooh,
has
yes.
put in planting dates for cannabis for the first time since the 1920s.
That's huge.
Congratulations, cannabis, you have won the war on drugs.
Thank you, Farmer's Almanac. The book
For
that I don't know
recognizing it.
anyone who buys. I think we should buy it this time just out of
I
symbolic,
do. You don't
significance.
buy you don't buy a Farmer's Almanac?
No, never in my life ever have I never. What am I going
I
to do
don't
with it? What does it tell you?
when to plant and what the moon's gonna be and and Richard's
Maybe this is why
Almanac.
I'm not I have plants everywhere. Not the flowers. I'm not going to claim those, but I've got plants growing everywhere. I never knew there was a schedule to it.
There sure is.
That's why
Yeah,
all the plants outside are dead.
that would be that.
You got
Correct.
me. All right.
Uh,
I'll grab one today. Do I get it
uh,
at the library or
well, no, you can get it on a magazine stand. You want your own because you got to be able to flip pages. And
and make notes?
Richard's Almanac, it used to be, it was Benjamin Franklin who did the first Little Richard's Almanac.
Good old
That was
Ben Frank.
good old
Yep.
Ben Franklin. And an old-fashioned farm family like mine, I'm not sure there's been 10 years in my last 50 that I didn't buy a farmer's
How
almanac.
accurate is it?
Well, farmers swear by it for the last 300 years, so pretty good,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna get it because they put it in there. I'm not sure if
That's
I'm gonna
right.
use it, but that's awesome news, and that is
There you
light
go.
and bright and
I
positive.
needed some
We
good
have
news because
to.
I'm not digging the smoking bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was heard in committee. That was on
So,
Tuesday, which was, Tuesday started out so positive for me. Like it was one of those days where like you're checking boxes and you're getting things done. You're
right.
going through your list of to-dos. You're optimistic. It's beautiful weather outside. And then something hits you like a ton of bricks. But before the ton of bricks, I did tune in to the hearing because
Okay.
I wanted to hear it. For some reason, the Florida channel had some glitches to where your
What
entire
nuts.
segment was missing. And I was sitting right here in front of my computer watching the Florida channel. So to give everyone like an update about the bill in question. The bill is smoking in public places. There is a companion in the House, matches the Senate. They both have sponsors that are actively pushing it through their committee assignments. And Jodi was there to provide testimony earlier this week. Now, we had some big questions because we didn't understand how the proximity, which you'll get into, but also why everything was outlawed except for cigars. Cigars get that permission slip to be everywhere. Obviously,
Everywhere.
cigar lobbyists have way more pull than we do, but tell us about your time and testimony.
So, whether the smoking in public bill that we have now goes to the finish line and ends up on the governor's desk, there's, 7 weeks to decide whether or not that's going to be the case. But regardless of whether we deal with it now, we're going to have to deal with it later. Many of the people who watch will remember that that became this huge issue. And even in Governor DeSantis said, well, we don't want the great state of Florida smelling like marijuana. Well, maybe
Well,
he
why did you
doesn't,
give
but
us smokable flower as your very first bill you signed into law?
because they really thought that you were never going to travel. They really thought that you were never going to smoke in your backyard. They really never thought. I just
This
can't
goes
imagine,
past
Cynthia.
traveling. This comes right to your front door.
100%. And it really does. Representative or Senator Rodriguez disagreed with me on that. So I get up and gave some testimony. There were only two people who testified, and I believe the bill is 986, but you
My
can check
notes
that
are
for
over
me,
there.
please. All right. Not,
Right.
well,
I'll
somebody
pull
will
it up on
correct
my
me.
phone. I'll pull it up. I got this.
Somebody will correct me.
I got
Uh, but Senator Gruder's bill redefines public places, and that's the big concern. So there were two groups really that spoke against it, Florida Cannabis Action Network and the Hospitality and Restaurant Association.
It's
So
HB 389 and SB 986.
986,
Yeah.
excellent. So SB 986 by Gruters. Uh, and the Restaurant Association said, well, when we went into all of this smoke-free uh,
Yep.
workplaces, I guess, it's Florida Clean Air Act
Yeah.
is basically, and for some of us who've been around Florida for a very long time, when that passed through the Constitution, maybe in the mid 90s, I was concerned about it then because
Hmm.
I recognized that it would be a barrier should we ever decide to legalize marijuana, because if you can't smoke tobacco, they're certainly not going to let us smoke marijuana.
And this is
So
a preemptive bill. Like this right now, if you took the landscape in a medical market, you are not allowed to smoke in a public place because you can only smoke on private property. You can't smoke outside of like a public restaurant. You can't smoke in a smoking section of a restaurant if they had one. It's not allowed outside in a medical market. It's not allowed anywhere except for private property. Correct?
So I argue that the restaurant's private property is private property, and I
With
would
their
smoke
endorsement,
there with their endorsement,
of course.
100%.
If you're
Uh,
allowed, if they say
it,
okay,
it
it's okay.
then I would, and the Airbnb that I stay in Tallahassee,
They are
the
420
Airbnb
friendly.
that I stay in is 420 friendly. I will sometimes sit outside because he's not a smoker, and so if I'm actually going to be smoking as opposed to vaping or something like that, I'll take it outside if the weather's nice on his front porch. The Supreme Court a couple of years ago ruled that your front porch is accessible to the public, and that's why a petition gatherer can come right to your door.
Or someone who's a solicitor trying to sell you something. So
100%.
in
100%.
in the language that you were testifying to, what did you bring up as your argument to public being all the way to the front door?
So actually, I had 3 points that I really wanted to make, and I was very blessed. The media picked up on it. We got statewide coverage, and for a small organization
They
like Florida
practically
Cannabis
tackled you
has,
when you were done.
it
Right?
they really it was fabulous, and it was a syndicated. Florida Politics picked it up, Florida Phoenix picked it up, and now some of the other stations are picking up the story that the other guys picked up. So hallelujah. If you can't buy $5,000 worth of media, then get $5,000 worth of free media. But I had 3 points that I wanted to make, and the first one has to do with our constitutionally protected state legal right to administer cannabis by smoking. So I have
The, the,
that
the, the
right.
governor gave us.
I have that right. And the Constitution protects it. It is a constitutionally protected right.
Right.
It's not like someone gave me permission. I have a right to it. So by limiting where I can use cannabis, I am basically saying to someone who is a patient, don't experience all the wonderful things that Florida has to offer, because we know that you got off the other drugs and you feel better and now you feel well enough to go do something, but
Right.
don't take your medicine.
No.
Again, if I'm here in Pensacola staying in a hotel. If I step outside, I'm out of everybody's way. I'm smoking wherever smoking is approved. Uh, I'm not hurting anybody, and it is private property. While private property and public property, hotel, it's owned by somebody. It's private property. Public is welcome on it. Public is welcome at my front door. So they have redefined public property in this. And so I said, right now I can go to restaurants and I can go to hotels. There are places where we can use these things. And the Restaurant Association said, whoa, you know, because the new definition of private property would even ban tobacco smoking in restaurants.
Mhm.
So restaurants that have created a space, Miller's Ale House has an outside patio where they allow people to smoke tobacco. They have created all of the right ventilation systems. All of that goes away. And
Right.
it's not just smoking tobacco or smoking marijuana, it's smoking e-vapes, using
E-cigarettes. Yep.
e-vapes,
E-vapes.
whether there's tobacco involved or not.
Yeah, it could be all just water vapor.
Total
And
e-juice, total
yep.
e-juice, and it would still be outlawed. So I talked about our state constitutionally protected medicine, and smoking being a route of administration, and my wanting to be able to travel around the state with my medicine.
Right.
I talked about apartment dwellers who may not be allowed to smoke inside because they have a contract that says no indoor smoking, but they've been going out on their patio.
Right.
Um,
Most landlords have leases that say don't smoke inside the unit.
Right.
They expect that to mean don't smoke inside the unit. Outside the
100%.
unit is not going to affect it, or they'll put a
So
clause that says it has to be 15 feet away from the unit. But
And so it says private property and no common areas. So if your patio is next door to someone else's patio, that could easily be affected. The problem with a rule like this is it is entirely about selective enforcement.
and
You're never going to
nuisances,
catch me.
how you're
And
going to define what a nuisance is, because
100%. And it
there is,
expands nuisance laws.
yeah,
Which could give, if they come on your property because you're smoking in your front yard. Now, you wouldn't be allowed under this new bill, you wouldn't be allowed to walk down the street smoking a cigarette.
right. I
You
mean,
wouldn't be able to vape walking down your street.
where are they thinking that you can participate in these activities? Are they going to have assignments? Are they going to be
No, no,
locations that are
at
clearly
home.
marked?
You will smoke tobacco at home. We don't want you in our restaurants or our bars. Or
Or
you can go to a bar. They are keeping the carve out for cigars.
right.
And they're also keeping the carve out for standalone locations that's retail sales or of food
Over,
are less than 10%.
yeah. So that would be
So a
considered like
bar.
a bar that serves, some food. But as long as their alcohol sales are the predominant money maker, then they can have, you'll see ashtrays in some bar, like sports bars and stuff. But if they are
100%.
food forward, or if they have half of the restaurant that's food, they are no longer allowed to. I mean, that part, I used to work in,
Well,
I was a bartender for 11 years, and I was there for the whole transition from Atlanta when they stopped doing smoking section, and then here, working at multiple places that did have it, and because they were beachside bars, and some that could not have it. But like, if they don't assign locations of, you are only like blacklist, green list kind of thing, no here, but yes here, then
no,
people are just going to be getting in trouble. It's just a way of
100%,
after adult use, especially
100%,
when it is available
100%.
as smokable flower to the masses. Where do you expect these tourists to go if they can't go to their
And
hotel?
and we asked them.
And they said,
I have no idea. Well, and it's insidious because there is a bill making its way through the legislature. We'll see how far it goes for open containers. And
I don't like that one.
the open container says you can't have it in a parked car. So
Yeah,
if you can't smoke in your apartment and you thought, well, I'll go sit in my car and smoke, that's a second fine.
I did
So
have a
they'll get you for that too.
very good conversation with Hector Roos yesterday about,
Thank you, Hector.
attempting to talk anything but animals at the time. I picked his brain a little bit about the open container language. There is a companion bill in the House and the Senate. It's got all of the things to make it through to the places. Unfortunately, it is a red list on my bill summary, but instigating
We have it
factors.
poopy, but red's good
Yeah.
too.
Red is like no bueno, and then it gets a red highlighter, obviously. Color
Poopy,
coordinate.
poopy,
I know it's horrible.
poopy.
Why? The reason I think it's really bad is because I feel like when you go to get medicine, okay, and you go to the dispensary, they have to put it into a bag for you, right? Okay. So you put the bag in your car, and it's in its container, and it's sealed, and it is compliant, right? So now they want you to put that into a locked glove box or in a locked trunk. Well, if you have an SUV like I do, that doesn't even make any difference because I can just reach back there. But I feel like when a police officer is looking into a possible, activity, maybe that person's not at their vehicle, but they see that bag that we are required to take from the dispensary, that is going to be an instigating factor, something
100%.
that they can add on to go
100%.
ahead, and it might not be smell probable cause activity, but they will use that to add on to whatever else they can get you for.
100%.
So now you have to hide
Well,
the evidence of the compliant bag.
I'm very sad. I've been doing this for more than 25 years. And the reason was because I really didn't think that I wanted to see people getting arrested for using this plant.
It's not
And
fair.
and we've, 25 years later, we've come all this way and they're just still finding reasons to arrest people. And I think you have your reasons for being sad. I had my reasons for being sad. And of course, little enough blonde that we should always be a little confused, or at least we should play confused on TV. Um,
It's all confusing because I feel like I am going to be like white knuckling it on the way home from the dispensary, being like, okay, mind your P's and Q's, Cynthia, until you get to the safety of your not so private home, where you also can't
put
participate in the private
put a big
public.
lock box in the back of your SUV.
Oh, watch me
Um,
go over the top extra and have like a security dog back there, and there's going to be a combination and biometrics to get into there. Be like, no, officer,
yeah,
actually, you have to know the secret code. But if
that's
I
right.
hire a driver, so don't worry, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I could hire a personal driver, my own Jason Statham, to go ahead and taxi me
Coming
throughout
down the
my errands.
highway.
It won't cost me that much if we're just running errands, and I can sit in the back of his approved vehicle and I can smoke till my heart's content because
There
Jason
is,
Statham is my driver and I am
well,
fine that it's legal.
So what was the guy's name? Dave, what's the name of the guy whose driver we used a driver?
Well,
Uh
Dave could be the driver of your
Glenn, who
RV.
was she gonna go out with before she drove for us? She was supposed to be out with a band. We're here in Pensacola. Our driver that drives our RV is not Jason.
Well, Jason Statham did a movie called Transporter where he
Uh,
transported stuff, but he didn't like he wasn't supposed to open it and it was a person, whatever.
my driver drove for Dolly Parton and AC/DC, but some of those. But
I've been in
it's all
your RV where Dave was driving, and if I
he's a
was in the
great driver
back,
too.
I was allowed to smoke, technically.
100%. Chang, according to this new bill. So there is light at the so another something bright, not quite the Farmer's Almanac, but for all of the folks like Senator Danny Burgess, who has a big fat RV that they're driving around, or Jody James, we're gonna be good. The rest of you, keep your weed at home. No, seriously, we need to fight these kinds of bills.
Yeah, we really do.
So
This is
we, we
it's not
totally do.
practical. It's not reasonable. It's not practical. And I want to show some of the lawmakers if you pass this language, this is what my day will look like. This is what I will have to activities I will have to do. I'll have to take the battery off the vape and I'll have to put them
100%.
separate and then grab them in the lock. And then this is this reasonable? You are treating me like I am
Not at all.
transporting like plutonium
It's
or
ridiculous.
something.
I have a little container of lozenges in my purse.
No, you don't.
I do. 2.5 milligram. They have my name on it. It's my medicine. Why would I
Is it,
not have it in my
but
purse?
is it open?
100%. Why would it not be?
Exactly. But that's not reasonable for us to consider that your lozenges can't be opened in your private purse. But also, are you saying that I can't ever leave? So I go from the dispensary where I pick up my sealed medicine, I put it into the ADT truck locked up and they follow me home. And then I cannot leave my house with it again because the seal would be broken.
Well, you can, but then now it's got to be in that locked box.
How do I
But
leave with a vape pen? Because
well,
it
you
says
put
it
it in
has to
that
be in the
locked
tube
box.
receptacle.
Well, nobody's getting inside my locked box so far. Um,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
it's just
but
weird because they want you to
Cynthia,
unscrew the
there
vape.
will be there's no sense in leaving your home. There will be no place that you can use it.
What if I have to travel because my medicine has to go with me
No,
to
no,
another?
no public places.
No, it's an approved 420 facility. So that drive would be the riskiest
No,
part.
driving under the influence, boo. So I did want to point out some other stories, just briefly, because I know
Yes.
folks are always glad to know what's going on, and we appreciate folks sticking by. I did pull up my favorite war on drugs story today.
Ooh.
Is about a former DEA agent sentenced to 5 years in prison for using his badge to protect drug trafficking friends. Now, you can get 20 to life for the right drug charges, but if you have a badge and you protect hundreds of, it says here that he got significantly less than the 15 years that was for the crime. It shows that he pocketed more than $250,000 in bribes.
Was he protecting
Let's
the drug
dealers,
criminals?
his friends.
What a
No, he
nice
was
guy.
protecting his friends.
Hey, he used the badge for good, not evil. And he's paying the price for it, unfortunately. So
Welcome to the war on drugs. Selective enforcement. But this, whether it's smoking in public or it is this open container ban, it is all about selective enforcement. And that's part of the probably the worst part of the war on drugs as it has been fought. It's not me in the back of my RV. It's somebody who's 18 in a car that's too fast or a car that the cops might want because mommy bought it for them, and they find the drugs and then they seize the car, and suddenly you are defending whether or not you should be able to get your brand new Trans Am back or whether or not it's going to be used next year as a cop car. Welcome to forfeiture. So
that's
I do
unfortunate.
the whole war on drugs, it's been bad, it's not getting better. The only thing that works is people being actively involved in the system and continuing to point out the harms of the war on drugs.
And how
Um,
unreasonably ridiculous this is to the people that are going to hear it in committee. So more testimony. You can be up there all you want, Jodi, but like the variety of people from different perspectives is very important for these committees to hear, because they don't know maybe all of the nuances of the program and how it would look to a patient. And you can compare it to if you were an elderly patient that's traveling just between your grandkids' house, or you can be a younger person that's going to be targeted because there's a bag in the back seat. But somebody, you guys have to speak, people have to speak up. And
and
joining
use social
FLCAN is a great
media,
way.
friend your lawmaker, follow their page, listen to what they're saying. So we talked about smoking. We
I do
talked
have
about smart and safe. We
an
talked about
alcohol
DEA.
hemp
Oh,
thing.
jeez.
It's
All
just the
right,
last story. So
uh,
of course
I don't know, man, because we
the
still
alcohol
have what's happening federally. This
I know
is,
this is
and
federal. So
all right,
we talked about the hemp ban. Everyone's aware of that. But, you know, it wasn't just speculation. There was a lot of talk about this being pushed from the alcohol lobbyists, and most predominantly, those in Tennessee. But they all decided that they weren't getting enough achieved independently, arguing that they should ban hemp and THC beverages. So they were like, well, they're going to ban them, but they're not going to give them to us like we thought. So now we have to band together. So we're going to start this coalition. It's going to be called, I don't know, the Beverage Alcohol Merchants Coalition, but we're going to summarize it to BAMCO because we're badass.
bam,
BAMCO. Okay, so
bam.
now that we have our badass BAMCO coalition of liquor lobbyists, which include Total Wine, ABC, all of them. Okay, let's come up with like a really pimp ass name for this act that we're going to push lawmakers to go to introduce, which
Okay.
we'll call it the Hemp Planting Predictability Act, because we know about planting hemp predictably and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, we're gonna do that. The HPPA.
Okay.
Yeah. So the BAMCO
Okay.
comes up with the Hemp Planting Predictability Act. Makes total sense. And they say we should be the ones that get intoxicating beverages because you guys know us, you trust us. We do this already every day. And look, we
So,
formed this little group. So like, just give us
100%.
intoxicating beverages, ban the rest of the hemp, maybe extend it 2 years so we can come up with a better framework that benefits our coalition, BAMCO, and delay the federal ban that's supposed to be implemented in November. So this is really, I mean, it's strategic, but it's also like a fire fire sale kind of thing. Like they really did think it'd be easier to get alcohol or intoxicating beverages under the alcohol umbrella that they wanted after they got the ban, but it didn't work that way. So now they're pushing, saying alcohol or intoxicating hemp beverages should be treated just like alcohol. And who treats alcohol like alcohol? BAMCO.
Alcohol industry. We're here for you.
Mic drop.
And
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 I'm
that's what I
embarrassed.
saw last week in Tallahassee. The traditional beer and wine industry there talking about how it's their coalition and their coalition members who should be in charge of this market. And then you had the hemp beverage coalition talking about how it's their people who should be in charge of the hemp market. So and none of that makes sense if cannabis is a Schedule 3.
But we have 4 bills in Tallahassee right now. Four
100%.
bills, two are companions of each one, that all talk about the ways in which a person can source their intoxicating hemp beverage, two of which state that you must have an alcohol distribution license, which in Florida, as you know, is almost impossible to achieve or to get or to acquire because they're limited supply and they don't dispense a bunch of them to where everyone can own an alcohol store. So this is liquor lobbyists nationally and liquor lobbyists locally.
100%, 100%. And they definitely want that market. One of the bills creates a new separate marijuana,
Yeah, they have a
three-tier
quota
marijuana, if you
carve
will.
out, but its companion, which is not a companion, it's actually
100%.
just similar, says just give it to people that have liquor licenses because they know what to do with it. Like,
Easy. Poof, poof.
yeah.
So I am a friend of Jack Harris when he was alive. We talked a lot about hemp. He wrote The Emperor Wears No Clothes. He was instrumental in telling us about hemp as a fiber and hemp as a fuel. And I assure the audience, we never once talked about smoking it. So I want to be clear, just never once. Now we know more and we appreciate some of the minor cannabinoids, but this plant is best if it has all of the cannabinoids in it in ratios that make sense. And so we're going to continue to fight for your whole plant access. Nothing happened with Carlos Smith's home grow bill this week, but we are going to continue to fight the good fight on that. The other thing that didn't happen this week is Attorney General Pam Bondi did not issue interim rules on how we were going to get from here to a hemp ban and from here to a Schedule 3.
Did she miss
So
her deadline?
she did. January 16th
Pam,
was the deadline.
Miss
I know. We
Bondi.
expected more from Pam.
Pamela Bondi, you scoundrel. You missed your deadline. Like you didn't have it like circled on your calendar with a highlighter and a heart.
I guess not. But missing deadlines is becoming kind of the theme from this Attorney General's office. I'm just going to say Epstein once and be done with it.
Well,
So,
like
just
um,
once, just once.
somebody told me that Trump took over Venezuela to turn it into a new Epstein Island, or maybe that was
Nice.
Greenland. I don't know. And it made me laugh, and I laughed out loud because I was like, that's freaking hilarious. But I think,
Greenland cuddle parties. I can see it.
I mean, I know like Venezuela oil, but Greenland is made of ice and Iceland is very nice. That's the little rhyme I remember,
That is
right?
true.
What's in
Uh,
Greenland?
rare, rare earth minerals and lots of oil in the
I
gateway
don't
to.
think that he knows the words earth minerals, but I am very curious as to why Pam was able
No,
to miss a deadline for us when she's representing
100%.
us out there.
100%, 100%. And not one, but two. Don't forget she had 30 days to get moving on Schedule 3, and she had 90 days to get moving
Well,
on the
didn't he
hemp.
say by the end of January?
30 days on as of December 18th. So it is the end of January. Just look. So
I'm
you
just
think we should give
saying,
her another week? All right, we're
I
gonna give
think
her
we
another
should give her
week.
one more week because everybody
Okay.
loves to draw
All
the
right.
attention.
There you go.
Also, February 1st is a big deadline here in Florida to see about the signatures. So I would say next, do we have a show before the end of the month? We
Our
have
next one will be on the 31st or on the
on the
30th.
30th. Okay, so we'll be
30th. We'll see you on the 30th.
preparing for the weekend, and I better see a rescheduling bill, like language, by
Yeah.
next episode.
Pam, I know you're watching.
I know she's watching. Damn it,
You know
Pam.
it.
Pammed.
Well,
Pammed.
we were the first marijuana group to sue her after she became the Attorney General in
Let's
Florida.
do it again.
So it has been discussed. Hector sent out a fabulous fundraising email this week. Some of you responded. Thank you very much. We did come out of cannabis at the Capitol short of our fundraising goal by about $5,000. So if you can give, please dig deep and give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It might be used to sue Pam. If you
Money
want your
we
dollar to be used to sue Pam, just tell
where
us.
do you where do you want your bucks to go? And there is a spot on our donation page to do those kind of things. So thank you all very much for checking in. We talked about smoking in public places. We talked a little bit about open containers, THC bills that are moving
Mhm.
through both the Florida House and Senate and federally. We talked about the continued corruption on the war on drugs. Highlight was Richard's Almanac and the inclusion of cannabis hemp. And of course, we are going to continue to watch what's happening with Smart and Safe. I think
Mhm.
that's all I got today. I'm going to get ready for the fall.
Yes, and that's the costume behind you. I think we
A
got
little
tied
bit.
up in my flowers and we didn't get to talk about what are you going to be for the ball in
Queen of
Pensacola?
Hearts. Queen of Hearts. I have my heart. That will be my
The
collar.
cards, yep.
I
Her
think
red wig. Now this is a
the
ball for
fabulous
Crew to Cannabis, right? One of
fruit
our sponsors.
cannabis in
Yeah.
Pensacola. I'm working on mine.
It is Alice in Wonderland inspired, or
It is the Wonderland Ball.
yeah, I love it.
And some people will be in formals and some people will be in costumes.
What is yours considered?
I have a formal costume.
Okay. Some people will be in formals, some in costume. However, I will be in a formal costume. I get
Doing
both.
it. I'm just doing it all.
I think the
Dave,
costume is going to be amazing. Is Dave going? Has he decided on his costume?
well, I did see a preview. I think people will be surprised. There will be
Is he
people
off
in
screen and you're trying not to laugh at the socks?
100%.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, look, you don't need to be in costume yet. I apologize because
We have
it's way
hours,
too early.
Dave.
Hours. Babe, we've got
He's
hours.
like, I'm just gonna
It's
go
gonna take
downstairs
me,
and get us a snack in my
it's
costume.
gonna take that long for me to get my face on, red hair. So the last time David and I did a thing like this for one of our members, we did a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I would love that.
We went down to Fort Pierce to support Ethel Roland, and
That sounds like
and
Ethel.
and well, she didn't recognize us. So
That also sounds like Ethel. That tracks.
well, no, until you've seen Dave in a long wig doing this with the curls.
I just want to see him in like the little like strappy thigh high thingies. Like, don't
Yeah,
play with me. That is
yeah.
a classic.
He came out. We had there were four of us going. And before I log off, before we go, I do want to shout out to Carla Ashburn from
Yes.
Care and Dr. Barry Gordon. They participated. Chanel, and I apologize, I don't have Chanel's last name. She's one of our new members. 3 Florida Can members participated in a forum this week in Brooksville. 50 people came out and got educated. Congratulate them.
Yeah, it was FAMU.
FAMU program.
Yes.
But Rocky Horror, there were 4 of us, fabulous costumes. We sent Dave in to change into his costume. He came out with a shaved face. I'd not seen him with a shaved face, wearing a long white wig and fishnet hose and combat boots. I laughed all night long. I kid you not. Nobody recognized us. So I'm hopeful tonight that the first few pictures you're going to have to be like, where's Jodi? Oh, wait a minute. That can't possibly be Jodi.
I would pay real money to see Dave in a Rocky Horror Picture Show, like full outfit. I would pay good money. So if you want that $5,000 fundraiser and you want me to help you out, I have a few demands, and that would be one of them.
Rocky, let's do a Rocky Horror Party in
I feel like it's
in November.
necessary.
So I look over, he's driving us down to Fort Pierce for the event. And I look over and he's doing this with a curl in the car. And I like to lose it hard.
gosh.
Lost it hard. I mean, everybody's tempted to play with you.
I mean, he was totally like in the
He was
role,
fab.
you know. The best
Totally
of actors
fab.
can make you confused about where
100%.
they end and the role begins. He's just really good at his craft, and I would pay good money to see it. You're gonna have a great time tonight at the
I
ball.
hope that you are not alone. I definitely, I would do another Alice in Wonderland party.
I do love
think
some
I
Alice
love
in Wonderland.
that. I love me some Alice in Wonderland. So there's lots of ways that you can contribute to Florida Cannabis Action Network. You can be on the planning committee for the ball.
We can also just take your money because we have our, like, I have great ideas by myself, so it's fine. No, everyone can contribute and you can participate as much as you want because we love that.
100%. Sense of community, a place where you can shine, a place where we can have some fun, a place where we can be sad and still have friends. We got into the cannabis space because we wanted to feel better because we had things going on, and sometimes using cannabis when it was prohibited really isolated you from people. And so you don't have to be isolated anymore. But we thank you for staying at home right now and watching Elevated Intel with Cynthia Brewer, myself, Jodi James. Florida Cannabis Action Network appreciates you giving us the time. If you've learned something today, share it with someone who's interested, like it, and come back and visit with us next week.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of Floridians, business owners, and advocates inside the state capitol, ready to make real change. That's what Cannabis at the Capitol is all about. The signature Lobby Day and Education Expo from the Florida Cannabis Action Network, where voices intersect with policy and passion turns into progress. For just $50 for individuals, you'll gain access to expert briefings, self-guided meetings with lawmakers, and the power to influence Florida's cannabis future. For businesses, $300 unlocks premium access. Connect with decision makers, showcase your enterprise, and build alliances in a fast-growing sector. Whether you're a medical patient seeking stronger access, an entrepreneur navigating regulations, or a company ready to stand at the forefront of industry change, this is your platform. One day in Tallahassee could shift a lifetime of regulation. Join us. Be present. Be heard. Be the change at Cannabis at the Capitol.